Hey, everybody, it is Groundhog's Day, and I think Puxatawny Phil just saw his shadow. That means we got another 6 weeks of winter. I got a lot of snow out here. I can't stand it. I'm tired of living in Groundhog Day. Let's get on with the show.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey, everybody. I am, of course, Glenn Houseman. Is so glad to have you here today. I'm looking around for Anthony. I don't know where he is, but I sent Puxatawny Phil out to find him. Rumor has it that if Puxatawny Phil sees Anthony Melchiori, then we're going to have 6 more weeks of positive returns for the hotel industry. So fingers crossed, because we need a little bit of love with that. All right, everybody. Today I am not at the Dream Hotel in Las Vegas because we've got the CEO of Dream Hotel Group, Jay Stein, coming right up. But before we get started, I do want to thank the good folks over at Best Buy for supporting this program. Thank you, Best Buy. Be sure to check out bestbuy.com/hospitality to learn more about how you connect with a dedicated hospitality professional. They're going to help you with IT consulting. They're going to help you get rid of those old TVs and replace them with brand new, gorgeous TVs. Why do you need brand new, gorgeous TVs? Your guests are going to demand it. They're going to be staying in rooms a little bit longer. And while you're at it, upgrade that internet service as well, because you know it's all about bring your own devices, and connecting with Best Buy is going to help you achieve that. Check them out at bestbuy.com/hospitality. And also, hey, hotel owners, you've been suffering. We know you've been suffering, so it's time to lower your property tax bill. Falling revenues means lower tax assessments, and Bright Support can help you achieve lower tax assessments. It takes 5 minutes to start. There's no risk. Applications are processed in the order they're received, so hurry up and make sure you contact them and book them for a free 30-minute consultation now at www.brightsupport.net/hotels, or call them at 833-411-2233. Of course, tell them No Vacancy sent you. I want to say thank you all so much for being here today. I'm really excited. And before we bring out the guests, I want to send our best to Arnie Sorensen of Marriott, who is going to be reducing his workload right now to take further treatment for pancreatic cancer. I have a report coming out later today on that and other news stories on No Vacancy News Today. So be sure you are subscribed to our Facebook page on No Vacancy, our LinkedIn No Vacancy page. Follow me on LinkedIn. Catch it on YouTube at No Vacancy News. And of course, visit NoVacancyNews.com. Now, it's no surprise that this last year has been difficult for a lot of professionals, and we all needed to look deep. We all needed to figure stuff out. We all need to figure out that pathway forward. And for me, it's been kind of bringing you this live show every day, working with Anthony on this live show, creating more content that's geared towards helping people recover and really trying to reinvent yourself. And that's what it's all about, trying to figure out how to find successes, trying to figure out how to find those positive moments, those opportunities, even though each and every one of us might be struggling with challenges that are out there. And one person who's handled a lot of challenges and handled it with grace, dignity, and has a great path forward, of course, is Mr. Jay Stein, the CEO of Dream Hotel Group, one of my favorite hoteliers in the entire business. Jay, so great to see you. You're out in Jersey. You got a few inches of snow out there here.
Oh, man, 24. I got to get that snowball out there and see if I can get the cars out.
Or just stay there till spring, which I don't know if you'll even notice if you're going to be home till spring or not, because snow's irrelevant. We've been trapped at home so long. But Jay, I'm looking behind me at that beautiful proposed building of what it's going to look like in Las Vegas. Let's start with some positivity. Let's start with something good. I love Las Vegas. I miss Las Vegas. What are you guys doing in Las Vegas?
Yeah, so for us, a really large hotel. For Las Vegas, a really small hotel. You know how that goes. It's about a 550-room Dream property.
Some rooms? Yeah.
550 rooms. Yeah, that's not even a wing in most Vegas hotels. But for us, that'll certainly be our largest. We're really excited because we think we're finally going to bring the first real lifestyle hotel, not one that sits in another hotel or is a wing of another hotel, but truly a real lifestyle hotel, the kinds that we've done throughout the world, and now to bring one to Las Vegas that'll have that real feel that lifestyle hotels have, and not just some components of it. Right down to the entertainment. We're looking to do a gaming, which would be very different than your typical gaming. No polyester uniforms, no ding, ding, ding in the background, but a whole new philosophy of what Vegas means. I've been going to Vegas since the late 50s. I think when my dad brought me there when I was 4 years old. And it hasn't changed that much. You walk through the casinos, they sound and smell and look the same, which is not that exciting, really. And so we're trying to really update. I mean, the Cosmo did some great things.
I love what they do.
Yeah, and we want to take it now to the next level, but again on a much smaller scale, but still big for what Dream does. So
Jay,
we're going to have magic shows there. It's an amazing sports bar with the F1 simulators, gaming, maybe alternate gaming, like playing against the house on ping pong tables, and just a lot of fun ideas. Some great indoor, outdoor, day, nighttime venues, amazing pools. Right next to McCarran Airport, and only less than a mile away from the new Allegiant Stadium. So, and directly across the street from Mandalay Bay. That's what.
Yes, that's absolutely right. I think it's on the site of that failed Ferris wheel attempt, right? Yeah. Yeah. That was never going to go, because there's only room in town for one Ferris wheel, but there's plenty of room for great hotels. And while there haven't been many people going to Las Vegas in the last year, Jay, I'm fully confident that a year from now, we're going to be looking back at this, that we're going to be very confident in it. As a matter of fact, some of the news stories I've been reading, that if Biden is able to get through this $1.6 trillion proposal, it will bring the economy back up to pre-COVID levels. That's got to be good for you. But I've also got to say, how do you go into a market that is so established and try to reinvent the game and change the rules so people understand that your hotel is the next big thing?
Yeah, and that's, we're not going to be the big thing, right? So we're going to be the first
new small
thing. And, we're going to do it our way. We're not going to try to compete and bring in the biggest DJs. And, we're not going to compete against Steve Wynn and Caesars. And so we're going to do what we know how to do. And that's do great lifestyle hotels with, amazing food and beverage venues, aimed at reasonable sizes. You're not going to see 450-seat restaurants and things like that. So it's going to be what you think of when you come to a great Dream hotel.
Right.
And
I will say, I thought Cosmopolitan, since you mentioned it, did a great job at kind of scaling things down. And I still think that for a lot of people, that's still too big. These massive mega casino resorts, and there's still a couple that are under construction now that are coming, I think they've lost all sense of proportion for the way that we live our lives and how we want to be recognized as a human being. So I've been saying for a lot longer than you even started doing renderings of this property, that Las Vegas needs something that's more humanly approachable, on that human scale, I mean to say, easily approachable by people, something that feels like what old school Las Vegas was when hotels weren't even that 550 rooms that you're talking about, right, Jay?
Right. The problem is it's such a convention town that people want to, bring, 4,000, 6,000 person convention. You're not going to be able to do it in a hotel like ours. And that's a big part of what Vegas has been successful on. So we're not going to be able to accommodate those type of meetings, but we'll still have great ability to do great conventions, but on a much smaller scale.
Right.
And I think, it morphed into trying to accommodate those types of events. And you can't do that with a small one. But again, we're not trying to be everything to everybody on Vegas.
Well, that's the problem.
We're going after more of that guest that's, looking for a fun getaway, or a group that, maybe is a couple hundred people that are looking for a 2-day event midweek, but not where you've got to walk 2.5 miles to get to the convention part of the hotel, and something much more manageable.
That is so true, Jay. I can't stand that. And there's a particular property that's right across the street from you. This is no hyperbole. You literally have to leave your room if you're in the hotel 30 to 45 minutes before the event starts, just to be able to get to your event on time. That's why I like the idea of scaling things down a little bit. That's why I like what you're doing over there, and why I keep saying the words, make it more approachable again, because I think we've lost so much sense of all of these things. But it sounds to me you're really looking for the same type of customer that would go to your properties in LA and in New York, for example. Same psychographic, just different location. Is that correct?
Right. And even on the corporate side, our same customers that'll use us at Dream Downtown for, we've got a space where we could do a 5,000 square foot ballroom space in Dream Downtown. And we do events for a couple hundred people. And so a lot of those clients that are looking to take small groups to Las Vegas will be a perfect answer for. But more, our bread and butter will be people coming for leisure, people looking for a getaway, and a real experience that the other hotels, I think, struggle a little bit because you've got 2,000 attendees, in your way and battling for space. So, as you mentioned, the old Las Vegas, when people really went to get away to Sin City and just have, some great fun, great entertainment, and great time with some friends. So that's what we want to be.
Yeah, when we had Professor David Schwartz on a couple of months ago, he put out this great new book about the history of the Sands property. And it's hard to think those old school properties, we think of them in the context of today, but it was really a couple of low-sling motor lodgers that were at first, right? Completely different than what we see today. We got a question here from a viewer, Vulcan Bloguraglu. Sorry there, Vulcan, I apologize. He was wondering, how many staff would work at a hotel that has 550 rooms? And I'm sure your formula is a little bit different in a Las Vegas scenario than it would be in a city scenario, right?
Yeah, so I would assume, probably about 1,200.
That's cool.
With all the F&B. Some of it may be part-time on call, but for events and things, but probably in that range.
Makes sense. All right, so it's been a while since we've spoken, and obviously this has been the most challenging year of your career, unless there was something early on that I don't know about. It might not be any of my business, but you had to close a lot of your hotels due to COVID. Now that we're 11 months into this thing, how are you coping? What is the status of the company? How do you keep yourself sane?
Yeah, it's been, I'm sure you hear this from everybody. It's been worse than I could ever imagine.
Right.
If you would have said, what's the worst thing that could ever happen to our industry? Realistically, I never could have thought of something like this.
Right, Jay, because everyone would always say at the events, this is going to happen at an Unless Black Swan event, but we never actually thought that there could be something like that, right?
Right. So as we've talked before, and I've gone through the crash of '87 and through September 11th, and then a crash again in '08, and all of those were devastating, particularly September 11th.
Yes.
But this is so far worse from a financial impact and from a business impact. I think from a living through an event, I think September 11th was actually worse. But from something that has an impact on our industry. And unfortunately, our industry was just, prime, ground zero for getting destroyed. There's a couple of bright spots, a couple of types of elements within our business that have been able to perform better than others. But the majority, and certainly our core stuff, urban city type hotels,
right,
have just got crushed, and throughout the world all at the same time. Usually it's spread out in different locations. It's just been. I'm very optimistic. So I work with my team, and I told them we'll get through this, and we'll find ways. And now we're going on almost a year. I still believe we will get through it. And I always tell them that when you're in the middle of it, it looks like it can't end. Like it will never end, and it's hard to think that we are getting closer to that end. But the fact that I'm old and I've lived through a lot of these and a lot of life experiences in general. This will end, and we are getting closer now. And even though the vaccine rollout has not been great, the vaccines are amazing. And now with a few more coming online, they all want to make a lot of money. They're going to want to sell as many as they can. If it takes an extra 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, so that'll take us into May or June or July. But I think the world will look a lot different 3, 4, 5 months from now. It certainly won't be over. In our industry, it's going to be, even longer. And cities like New York, where we have a lot of assets, will even be longer than that. So the pain's going to be there for a while, but the world will start looking different from our industry in the next 4 or 5 months. I think.
As you mentioned, you've been around for a while, right? You lived through these downturns before. Obviously, this is much more serious than anything you've ever been through. How do you feel that your past experiences in life prepared you psychologically and professionally to deal with all of the challenges that have been thrown your way this last year?
Yeah, look, I remember when I was going through the industry in the early years, and it's always, you're aggressive and you want to get ahead, and what else do I need to know? And you're asking your boss, what else do I need to accomplish to be able to move on? And you realize that some of it is just experience, and you can't get experience quickly. There's a maturity level. There's learning the lessons of life that just pay dividends as you learn them. So yeah, that platform of going through those very difficult events, gave me a much better footing to stand on, to go through something like this. And, I learned a long time ago, you can't lose sight of the magnitude of something, and you've got to deal with it, and try to think it through logically.
Right.
If I'm at my wit's end and I'm, just screaming and, where's my team going to be? And so that never got me anywhere. And that's one of my, attributes that I've always had: to stay calm, to evaluate, make a plan, execute. Fortunately, we have a great chairman in Stein Chatwall who's been behind us financially, and he knew he was going to burn through a lot of cash, and made the decision early on that we were going to get through this. It has not been easy, and believe me when I say it's not been easy. And it continues to be very difficult. And we're making difficult decisions. I made one this morning that I had announced to my team that nobody wanted to hear. Right. We still have people on significant payroll reductions. Right. So it is horrible. And I know it kills our chairman because he's a very charitable guy. So right. I started to talk to you before we even started. I see it a little differently. Our industry, and from the way we run, owning assets and being a management company, we have payments that are due, significant payments that are due. Real estate taxes in the city of New York, which is a story I'm sure you're hearing a lot about. And
we're going to talk a little bit about New York.
So huge numbers, $15 million payments. That our chairman has to come into his own pocket to carry these through. There's no revenues coming in.
I can't even imagine having $15 million in my pocket, let alone having more than that to be able to make those payments. But Jay, that is a testament to Mr. Chatwall, that he is trying to be behind everybody, trying to keep people employed, trying to keep things going under conditions that nobody could have expected. So what you're dealing with is fundamentally different than what those big major hotel companies out there are dealing with. And just before we got on air, just to let everybody know, we're talking about how those companies are very asset light. You're completely the opposite of it. So your challenges are much more grave, much deeper. So again, kudos to you, kudos to Mr. Chatwall and everybody for sticking behind it. How do you feel like this kind of changes the game for the hospitality industry for companies such as yours versus some of those big players that are out there?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for us to make it through to the other side. The big players, and I'm not knocking them in any way, but and we're not asset. We're not fully asset heavy. We've also become more of a management company. So most of our hotels we don't own, but we still own a bunch of them.
Right, and that's particular with the unscripted hotels, for example, your select service option, right?
Say it again.
That's more like unscripted hotels are more of the traditional franchise type as opposed to you owning all of them. Is that correct?
No, sorry, Len. No, we don't franchise even those. We manage all those properties.
Oh, you're just managing them. Okay.
We don't franchise. So when I say that we don't own them, so even like the Dreams in Nashville and Hollywood, other owners own them, whereas the Dream 2 properties in New York we've owned.
Yes.
So so the big brands, they don't have those kinds of assets, right? They're really just a management company. So when they cut their staff by 40, 50, 60, 70% because their revenues dropped by 40, 50, 60, 70%, whatever, they were able to, find a balance and try to find a way to go forward. I don't think they're getting crushed. But when you look at a company like ours, we didn't lay off really any of our corporate team, and that's because we're trying to grow the company. We couldn't, maybe we lose an admin person here or there, but we couldn't cut out our key people or even our secondary VPs as we're trying to grow the company. We'd have no ability to get deals done. So, for us, to be able to not lay off people, still make the payments on these assets that we own, not get any assistance in a big way from the government. Sure, we've gotten some PPP money to help pay some payroll, and that certainly has been helpful. But these real estate tax payments and other mortgage issues and things, there's been no real relief. And I think it's because they see these companies like Marriott and the other big guys that don't need the relief.
Right.
But we've gotten lumped into that, like we don't need the relief. And groups like ours, and there's many out there, are getting crushed. And it's difficult to make it. It's been very difficult for us to make it. I think we will, but it's been so hard on our team. So I said, people taking huge pay cuts, and they still have kids in college, and they have their mortgages, and so we feel terrible about that. But we're trying to find a way to get us through to the other side. So very difficult.
Yeah, and I lay a lot of this blame on what's going on in New York City, right? They are just not helping. And it seems like New York City and the state of California seem to be putting up a lot of barriers to allow you to make money. In particular, there's been no demand, so your properties are mostly closed in the New York area. But what about like that food and beverage? I hear PhD Terrace at Dream Midtown is reopening on February 10th, but that indoor dining rule is still at 25% in New York City. How do you even pay your bills, let alone try to make any money back that you've lost over the last year from that? And what are they thinking in New York City at this point?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I totally agree with you. They're trying to balance it and be safe. They're trying to get through this, COVID situation with as few people getting sick and dying. Mm-hmm. It's difficult to get all these people working in New York City. They'd have to travel. They have to commute by public transportation. I could only imagine if we were all in offices and all in restaurants and all that these subways, would be filled and COVID would be spreading even more rampant. So it's tough. It's tough. I don't really blame the city. I mean, obviously, I don't agree a lot with de Blasio's doing. 18% penalty on real estate tax payments that aren't being made. That's just absurd at this point.
Yeah,
that needs to change. But it's tough. The city, they need their money. They're getting crushed. But to get a lot of wealthy people to want to leave the city because the city is making it unlivable for wealthy people and thinking they're just going to tax the hell out of them, they'll leave. Mm-hmm. So I think the city is and other big cities are being foolish there. You want to keep those high net worth people living in those cities. They pay the majority of taxes, even though and now you want to get them to pay more taxes. So I think there's a balance you got to find, but you really don't want to lose these high net worth people. So it's tough. It's a very tough situation for the cities. Whether 25% is the right number, whether 50% is the right number.
It's like who knows, right?
It's hard to see. It's hard to really say. But I do think that there are safe ways. But we're not going to make money. Could we break even? At 25 or 50. The margins on F&B are so small.
I guess it depends on
really
how
need to be 100%.
Right.
But we do. We can't get more people employed.
Joking around, but over the last year, a lot of people have become raging alcoholics. So, at least you have a better chance at selling more alcohol to them. But realistically speaking, the situation is so bizarre in New York, where now you have all of these outdoor facilities that are essentially indoor facilities just sitting on the sidewalk. My personal opinion is that we need to let more commerce happen inside these restaurants. I think we all need to get back to work. We all need to make money. And now that the vaccines are being distributed, and also, Jay, I think we've got a better understanding than we did when this first started about precautions that we could take to keep people safe. So I'll say that part on it, but I am curious from you, Jay. You know, we had on Charlie Flateman last Thursday on the show. Now, for those of you watching, Charlie is he works at the Schubert organization as an EVP, but he's also chairman of NYC & Co. He is fully confident, Jay, that tourism is going to be coming roaring back. He sees Broadway very much a possibility coming back over the summer, maybe even a little bit earlier than that for some few select shows. What do you see about the future of urban centers like New York City and other places around the country?
Yeah, I think on the entertainment side, it's going to be really bright. I think on the restaurant side, it's going to be really bright. This is what people want. You know, they're not just looking to buy diamonds and, spend things on, spend money on things. They want experiences. They want to live. They want to be with friends. They want to look, especially now you've missed a year of doing these kinds of things. So I think there's a real bright spot for events, for concerts, for Broadway, for sports events. And once it's safe for people to be together, and I don't think it's all going to come back so slow either. Once everyone's vaccinated and the brighter people in the world say, you know what, folks, there's no reason to shy away. They're gonna go crazy. They're gonna get on flights. They're gonna go to hotels. They're gonna go to restaurants. And I don't think it's 3 years away. I don't think it's 3 months away. But maybe it's 6-9 months away. I've heard most reports that anyone that wants a vaccine by July or August will have had it. So that's 6-7 months from now.
That is, and hopefully we can get back to doing good concerts. I think literally the last time I saw you in person was at a Jimmy Buffett concert in the summer of 2019. And the reason why I bring that up is because come June, in the south part of Times Square, maybe technically a block souther than Times Square, you guys are going to be managing a brand new Margarita urban resort that's going to be open. Let me say that again. Margaritaville Resort in an urban location that's going to be coming. It's even got an outdoor pool in it. How cool is that, Jay? People are going wild about this particular project. I love the Margarita brand almost as much as I like the Dream brand. Don't worry, I still love you guys more. But seriously, what a great coming together of two awesome companies. I'd love for you to talk to me about the property, but also why this is such a good fit for you folks managing the Margaritaville property and how your companies kind of see eye to eye.
Yeah, so it evolved. If originally that property was going to be a Dream Hotel, and we were one of the larger investors in that hotel. This is pre the 2008 problem, and then 2008 happened, and everything dried up, and the owners weren't sure what they were going to do, and eventually we were able to find financing and found an opportunity with the Margaritaville group and to get a nice lease on the F&B options for the Margaritaville restaurants.
Awesome.
Including the Margaritaville restaurant itself and the 5 o'clock bar and everything else. So that's how the project now got funded to move forward. And when the owners started talking, they said, look, Dream was going to run it as a Dream. And what about Dream running it as a Margaritaville? No one knows that New York City market better than you guys, and certainly the Times Square area. So we talked about it, and we already had the management agreement drawn up, and we decided to take it on. And so it's the same group that we've been working with for over 10 years already, 12 years already on this property.
Yeah. So could I mean that you might get into more relationships with Margaritaville, or am I just going a little bit too far with thinking that?
We would be open to it. They work well. I think it's with Davidson and with other, management group. They don't really manage IMC, International Meal Corporation manages the restaurant division for them. They're, the branding and licensing. But we love their team. We've now been working with them for a couple of years. Yeah. And we're certainly open to looking at other Margaritaville projects with them.
Yeah, I really like them on a personal level, and I think their branding is absolutely phenomenal. I think in an era when you need to cut through the clutter, people understand what Margaritaville means. It's very clear. It's very delineated. unlike what a lot of other companies in the hospitality industry are doing, which is kind of creating a lot of brands that are a little bit more mushy and you don't really understand what they're reflected. I'm talking about some of the major hotel companies that have dozens of brands that kind of overlap on each other. Not the good folks over at Margaritaville, and certainly not the good folks over at Dream Hotel Group. But Jay, you've got other bright spots in your portfolio too. You've got more developments happening, and not all of them are, of course, happening in big cities. You're able, in some way, to start to think about leveraging some of the shift of people moving outside urban locations to do travel.
Yeah, so we've got the Chatwall Lodge, which is a project we started talking about maybe a year and a half ago, up in Bethel, New York, very close to where Woodstock, the concert, took place, on a beautiful piece of land. And we're going to open up, maybe April, maybe May this year, though. So, another 5 months away. And there'll be initially 10 guest rooms. So very high-end luxury property, similar to the Point up in Saranac Lake, which is just a spectacular wilderness property as well. And this will be known as the Chatwall Lodge. We've got fly fishing, and we've got canoeing and kayaking and stargazing, and just only natural kind of elements that are the amenities that we offer there, and just very high-end food and beverage component.
Man, I love that. It's just so in tune with where we're going right now. And I think, again, that high end of the market is continuing to be super powerful because the stock market's done incredibly well over the last year, regardless of what you think the reasons for it are. So those people that already had the money certainly have the money to be spending in a lodge like yours when you open up. And I bet that's going to be a lot of success. Where else are you going? I know we've talked about prior, but I'd love to bring it again. Dream Cleveland, Dream San Antonio, and a couple of other stuff that you're working on.
Yeah, so some of those projects have slowed down a little bit during COVID time. Cleveland had to clear up some of their land mass that they needed to get approval from the city to get their building going. San Antonio, they just finished up their project on the Thompson that they were doing in San Antonio. It's the same ownership group, and now they're shifting to getting the permits for the Dream. And hopefully, I'm not sure we'll be in the ground before the end of the year, but hopefully. But Doha, Dream Doha, which we've been working on for a number of years now, will open probably later this year. Maybe November, December.
Awesome.
248 key, 9 food and beverage venues. Certainly be open before the World Cup. They dropped the embargo is now ended with Saudi Arabia and Dubai. So very exciting project there. Margaritaville, you mentioned, the Chatwall Lodge. We also hope to open our property in Tulum before the end of this year. So it looks like we should get probably 4 hotels open in this one calendar year, which will be the most we've ever opened in 1 year. So
that's pretty incredible. What about I think Turks and Caicos? You got something going on?
Turks and Caicos was a signed deal, and the planning is going on now. It's a condo hotel, which virtually every hotel in Turks and Caicos are condo hotels. So they're selling the condos now, and great. It's a great property. It'll be the By Dream Hotel Group brand, so it's been known as the Bite by Dream Hotel Group. The Bite is a neighborhood within Turks, and very exciting.
All right, a LinkedIn user is saying, "Hey, are you taking questions?" Yes, we are taking questions. So go ahead and ask your questions. For some reason, I think I'm having trouble getting the connections popping up on my screen from Facebook, so I apologize for that. Andy Ingram, we know our good friend Andy Ingram. He's saying, "Hey, what about the Bahamas? Any interest in the Bahamas over there?"
We are looking at a couple of sites. Nothing signed yet, but we've looked at a number of things in the Caribbean as well, and some that were signed, like you mentioned, Turks and Caicos. Certainly in Mexico, we've got a couple of deals going on. I mentioned Tulum, Playa del Carmen is also signed. San Miguel Allende is also signed, and 2 projects in Valle de Guadalupe. So Mexico is our new home base. We're looking at a project in Bimini now. We've looked in San Martin. We did sign a couple of LOIs just over the last month in Florida, one in Gainesville and one in Melbourne, Florida, and also one in Louisville. So those hotel management agreements are being worked on now, and hopefully we'll have something to bring to your audience in the next month or so.
So this is interesting, and just to our the folks that don't know the business as well as you and I do, LOI is a letter of intent.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. It's your job to speak, in industry talk. I got to clear it up for people.
Letter of intent.
Yes, and that's like, hey, literally, they intend to do this project with you. It's like formalizing the deal before the deal is formalized.
Yeah, so you kind of formalize a lot of the big deal points, a lot of the business points. So you don't have to go back and hopefully renegotiate those issues. And then you dump it off to the lawyers, and they take a 3-page LOI and make it a 120-page HMA or a hotel management agreement. And it takes 3 months and a lot of cost.
Hey, look, in a difficult year, the lawyers have got to make some money. I feel very badly for them, Jay. Jay, you're talking about all this new development and stuff, and some letters of intent that you signed already. What does this tell you about the viability and the future overall of the hospitality industry?
Look, this industry is not going away. There'll be some markets that suffer longer than others, and there'll be some markets that come back neutral pretty quickly, and there'll be some that accelerate even more than they were before COVID. And as you know, I mean, you follow this every day. You don't see any slowdown on deals getting signed and companies announcing deals, and not only announcing and signing, but opening. Hotels have been opening during the middle of COVID.
It's amazing.
And what could be worse luck than trying to open a hotel when demand is lower than it's ever been in our industry for any year ever. But they're opening. And as I said, we're going to open probably at least 3, maybe 4, maybe more hotels this year, kind of in the COVID period as well. So I don't see anything, New York will suffer for a while. There's no doubt about it. But I still think there'll still be business coming back in once people get back on flights, once people start traveling. No person that's in charge of generating revenue is going to try and do it over something like this on a Zoom call when they can get to a client and meet them face to face, create that relationship, entertain them, spend some time, get to know each other. That's not going to change. So, and that's helpful for our industry too. People may have less offices filled, but they have other needs to get employees trained or to do some introductions to staff, and they may use hotels more in those environments. So things will change, but I don't think we're looking at a complete different world and office buildings are gone or anything like that.
No, we are not. And I'm sick and tired of people, the prognosticators out there, saying that the fundamentals of travel and our desire to have experiences has completely changed. I'm sorry, but while this format works great for an interview and a conversation like we're having right now, does not supplant meetings, it does not supplant events, and it does not supplant getting deals done where you need to be with a person. You need to have that back and forth and share beverages and food with them. That is what people are all about. That is how we are driven. And fundamentally, that is not going to change regardless of the situation of today, Jay. So I thank you for underscoring that particular point. We got a LinkedIn user who's asking, anything in the works for South America? I guess particularly Argentina. Maybe that sounds like an opportunity for you, Jay.
We a couple of years ago, we spent a lot of time in Brazil and in Argentina, but none of those deals got done. It is a market that we're open to, but nothing on the front burner for South America yet at this point.
We'll get there. Oh, and let me add to what I was saying before. People are commenting on it. Does not replace face-to-face meetings. I think, Jay, you're going to be in a really good position because you don't have the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of square feet of convention space like the building across the street from the Dream Las Vegas is going to have. You're focused on smaller meetings. And I have a feeling that in the next couple of few years, once we get back to it, even the bigger meetings are going to be smaller meetings because people aren't necessarily going to, number one, want to travel as frequently. And number two, companies may not let people travel as frequently in the short term. And number three, people might not be able to afford to bring many people from their company. So I think that you're going to be in a great position in that. Number one, focus so much on leisure. Number two, focus so much on smaller meetings. And number three, your strategy of opening up in places that are outside urban centers as well. I think you've got some good opportunities in the future, Jay.
Yeah, Glenn, I agree. And that's kind of more our niche, but I do disagree with you. I never disagree with you so much in one interview.
It's fun. I love it.
I do think that big conventions will come back big time.
I'm just saying in the next year or two, short term. I don't think it's a permanent change.
Right. People love it. They love to see their industry friends. We have our friends, we have our workplace friends, but then there's these industry friends. And I mean, our industry is great for it. We get to 2 or 3 or 4, events a year, and you're with a couple of thousand people, and you don't know thousands, but a couple of hundred of them. And, it's after doing it for 20, 30 years, 40 years, it's part of your life, and it's part of your, social life as well, and your work social life. So I think it's important to a lot of people, and, it may be frivolous, or people may see it as no need to spend on that kind of stuff, but I don't think so. I think people will want to go, and, we see it as the entire world has been destroyed and the entire economy is a disaster.
Right.
It's just not true.
Right.
Our industry has been destroyed and a lot of our employees have gotten crushed. But there's a lot of industries that are neutral from where they were, and there's a whole bunch that are making a lot more money.
That's right.
And, those industries are going to be flying high, and they also do conventions and they also do meetings, and we'll start to come back, and we'll have lost some friends along the way and some properties along the way. But once the demand starts coming back, less properties in the inventory, we may see we will see double-digit RevPAR growth, of course, because we're going from such a low number. But even to see growth from 19, I think you'll start to see that, in a couple of years down the road, and there'll be, again, with less properties, some that have closed, there'll be an opportunity to really see some strong RevPAR growth. And
I will say,
really strong.
Jay, I hope you are right, and I've never wanted to be more wrong in my entire life. You know what I'm saying? I want all of us to have much success. Jay, one of the things I know you love to do is, you've been in a band, you play guitar and stuff like that. How is not being able to go out there and play gigs affecting you? And when do you think you're going to be able to do it again? Or maybe you've been able to at some small places in Jersey or on Long Island.
Yeah, Glenn. I mean, I always thought I made some good choices, but for this year or this past year to be in the hotel business that focuses a lot on restaurants,
right,
and to be a live band musician player, God, I couldn't have picked 3 worse things to be involved with.
Right.
It has been tough. We did do some gigs over the summer, outdoor, socially distanced, backyard kind of events, and had some fun, and then even played on some cooler days where it wasn't all that cold. Yep. But we've been out of business since November now. And we're just going to have to wait it through. We're still, the band talks together, so we're still working on some new tunes on our own and getting ready. Awesome. But we'll be there. All
right. I can't wait, man. I still owe you. I've been saying I'm going to get to go see you guys play. I haven't been able to do that. Every single time you guys were playing, I seem to be away, and that was really just sad. So when you make the big comeback come spring, I will be there. I promise you. Okay? Any final thoughts for us today? And then please tell us how we could learn more about Dream Hotel Group.
Yeah. So, thoughts as we started saying, I've been in this thing a long time. I know a lot of people feel, maybe it's the wrong career to be in. You've been out of work for a while, or cuts in pay. And again, I've had this conversation with many of my team members. We're going to get through it. We will get through it. I was reading some stuff in the New York Times yesterday, and maybe a lot of your viewers have saw this, but we think about the vaccine and it's being rolled out so slow, and we hear efficacy numbers in the mid 60s. That doesn't sound all that exciting, but the reality is these vaccines have been phenomenally successful. And when you hear 60%, that means that does anybody ever get sick again when they've taken it? So if one person gets sick, that's part of these numbers that go down. But the amount of people that are ending up that are dying that have had it are almost zero. The amount of people that are ending up in the hospital that have had the virus is almost zero as well, very, very few. Mm-hmm. So the results have been phenomenally positive for all of them, for all 5 of them, even the ones we don't have yet here in the U.S. So they're so encouraged by the quality of the vaccine and what it's been able to do, that it's even bringing it below what the typical flu, the general flu that you get. These numbers are being brought down lower than that. with the vaccine. So, once we get it rolled out, it really looks like it's going to be the miracle that we're looking for. And, it looks like it's months, not years from then. So we can hang on a little while longer. We'll get there.
We will hang on a little while longer because, Jay, we've got no choice. Plus, we're in hospitality. We are geared towards being optimistic, positive people, I think. Jay, how can we learn?
DreamHotelsGroup.com, that's how you find us. Unfortunately, our list of open job positions is not that long right now, but hopefully that will grow as well. But you can find everything else that's going on about our company, about our properties that are coming, the properties that are open, and we are open everywhere other than some of our properties in Manhattan. Every one of our other hotels are open with some kind of food and beverage as well. And as you mentioned, we have PhD Terrace at Dream Midtown reopening next Wednesday, the 10th. So exciting. We hope to get Dream Downtown open somewhere in the next month or so as well for some food and beverage. And the opening of those hotels, we were hoping for April, still a possibility. If not April, then hopefully by May, somewhere soon. We'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So one final comment. Thanks, Jay, for your balanced, logical, common sense, and optimistic outlook on our industry's future. Could not agree with you more, from Steve Durasmo. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up, man. Thank you so much for being here. And it was so much fun, having you disagree with me so much. This is great.
Sorry about that, Glenn.
It's all good. I love it. It keeps me in the zone, keeps me working hard. And that's what it's all about. We're here to educate each other, empower each other, and of course, hopefully entertain you guys a little bit. Jay, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
Glenn, I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Yeah, from your lips to God's ears. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Hopefully at an event in the near future over lots of food and drinks. Thank you, sir. Take care. Have a good one. All right, we got a comment from somebody named Anthony Melcuri. I need a new host. That's right. I definitely need a new host over here. Anthony, I am not ignoring you. I'm just called show flow, brother. Show flow. What are you going to do? All right. Kathleen says, thank you, Glenn and Jay, for a great dialogue. We really appreciate it. Ooh, Jay's band playing at the opening of Margaritaville. That would be something special. I absolutely love it. All right, guys. Jay, I got to tell you once again, one of my favorite professionals in the business. Consummate New Yorker, tells it like it is, faces issues head on, no BS. That is what we need. That's what makes a great leader to me, besides making people feel good about themselves, making people feel better. But somebody that doesn't have any of that BS, they cut through it. They understand what the situation is, and they find solutions to the problem. I absolutely love that. And don't forget, subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866. Get our Sunday night newsletter. You'll get this interview. You get all the interviews we do every single week, plus a lot of the news and information that's out there. All right, everybody, remember, the light is growing brighter now. There will be an end to this. We will get through it together. And just remember, you've got one life. So blaze on. And as Anthony would say, take care.